In the shadows of hip-hop, where pain and genius often collide, there was one figure who embodied both in their rawest form. His name was Yase Dwayne Ricardo Onfroy, but the world knew him as XXXTentacion. To some, he was a violent villain. To others, a prophet of a generation. A young man who spoke to millions of broken souls, yet couldn't escape the darkness within himself. His story reads like a modern tragedy, one of incredible highs and devastating lows, of redemption sought but never fully grasped. Tonight, we uncover the mystery of the boy who became a legend in just 20 years of life, the questions that still linger, the theories that refuse to die, and the legacy that continues to divide us all. This is the story of XXXTentacion, an enigma wrapped in controversy, sealed by a gunshot on a summer afternoon in 2018. January 23, 1998. Plantation, Florida. In a world that would soon know his rage, Yase Dwayne Ricardo Onfroy entered quietly, to a teenage mother named Cleopatra Bernard and a father who would remain largely absent. From the very beginning, Yase's life was marked by instability. His mother, barely 18, struggled to provide. His father, Dwayne Onfroy, drifted in and out of their lives like smoke. The boy who would later channel pain into platinum records was learning about abandonment before he could even walk. School became a battleground. Teachers described him as intelligent but explosive, a child whose emotions burned too hot, too fast. By middle school, the pattern was set: outbursts of violence, suspensions, and a growing reputation as someone not to cross. But there was something else brewing beneath the surface. Music. In the chaos of his fractured childhood, Yase discovered that sound could be salvation. He began experimenting with beats, melodies, and most importantly, raw, unfiltered emotion. By his teens, he was uploading tracks to Soundcloud under various names, searching for an identity that could contain his contradictions. Then, in 2013, he found it, XXXTentacion. 3 X's, a symbol of the unknown, the forbidden, the extreme. The storm was gathering strength. 2015. While most teenagers worried about prom dates and college applications, 17-year-old XXXTentacion was building an empire in the digital underground. Soundcloud became his cathedral, and his congregation was growing. But this wasn't your typical hip-hop success story. X's music was different, darker, more vulnerable, more violent. Tracks like Vice City and I Don't Want to Do This Anymore weren't just songs. They were confessions screamed into the void. His breakout moment came with Look at Me, a track that would later spark controversy when some claimed it bore similarities to Drake's KMT. But that was still to come. In 2015, it was just a young man's raw scream captured in lo-fi audio, uploaded to the internet at 3 a.m. The fans came first, teenagers who recognized their own pain in his lyrics. Then came the numbers. Millions of streams, hundreds of thousands of followers, all built without a major label, without radio play, without the traditional gatekeepers of the music industry. But with fame came scrutiny. And with scrutiny came the questions that would haunt him until his final day. October 2015. The first arrest, robbery, assault, and battery charges. The details were murky, the stories conflicting, but one thing was clear: XXXTentacion's real life was becoming as chaotic as his music. Yet somehow, controversy only fueled his rise. His fans didn't just accept his darkness, they embraced it. To them, X wasn't just an artist. He was a mirror reflecting their own struggles with depression, anger, and feeling misunderstood. The question that would define his career was beginning to form. Can you separate the art from the artist? And more troubling still, should you? We want to take a moment to thank all of you who have been supporting our channel and watching these deep dives into music's most complex figures. Your engagement and comments drive us to dig deeper into these stories. Please subscribe to our channel and help us grow. Thank you guys for being part of this journey with us. 2016 to 2017 would prove to be the most contradictory period of XXXTentacion's life. His music was evolving, becoming more introspective, more experimental. Albums like 17 showcased a vulnerable side that caught many by surprise. Here was a young man who could scream about violence on one track, then deliver a heart-wrenching ballad about suicide and depression on the next. Songs like Jocelyn Flores and Everybody Dies in Their Nightmares revealed an artist grappling with mental health in ways that hip-hop had rarely seen. But the legal troubles were mounting. The most serious allegations came from his former girlfriend, who accused him of domestic violence, false imprisonment, and witness tampering. The details were disturbing, the charges severe. X denied the allegations, but the court documents painted a picture of a young man losing control. His fans remained loyal, but the wider world was watching with growing concern. Then came the feuds, the beef with Drake, the conflicts with other artists. Each controversy seemed to add another layer to the mystery. Was this calculated provocation, or a young man genuinely unable to control his impulses? His social media presence only deepened the paradox. One day, he'd post videos of himself giving away money to strangers. The next, he'd be involved in another altercation, another arrest, another headline. The boy who spoke so eloquently about mental health seemed unable to heal his own wounds. The artist who preached positivity couldn't escape the violence that had shaped his early life. To understand XXXTentacion's impact, you have to understand his artistry. This wasn't just another rapper following familiar formulas. X was a sonic experimenter, blending genres with the fearlessness of someone who had nothing to lose. Rock, hip-hop, R&B, electronic, boundaries meant nothing to him. His voice could shift from a whisper to a scream within the same verse, carrying listeners through emotional landscapes most artists spent entire careers exploring. But perhaps his greatest artistic achievement was his honesty. In an industry often built on facades, X laid his trauma bare. Songs like Sad and Changes weren't just hits, they were therapy sessions broadcast to the world. His fans, predominantly young and dealing with their own struggles, found something unprecedented in his music: permission to feel. Permission to be angry, sad, confused, and broken. In X's pain, they found validation for their own. The numbers spoke for themselves. Billions of streams, chart-topping albums, awards, and recognition from an industry that had initially rejected him. By 2018, XXXTentacion had become one of the most influential artists of his generation. But influence, as X would learn, comes with responsibility. And responsibility was something he was still learning to handle. The morning of June 18, 2018, started like any other Monday in South Florida. The sun was shining. Traffic moved at its usual pace through Deerfield Beach. XXXTentacion had plans, simple plans. A trip to a motorcycle dealership, maybe some studio time later. At 20 years old, he seemed to be turning a corner. Recent interviews showed a young man trying to mature, speaking about positivity, about helping his community, about becoming a better person. But the past has a way of catching up. And in hip-hop, reputation can be both currency and curse. 3:56 p.m. XXXTentacion left Riva Motorsports in Deerfield Beach, carrying a bag containing $50,000 in cash. Security cameras captured him walking to his BMW i8, unaware that he was being watched. What happened next would shock the music world and leave investigators with more questions than answers. Two armed men approached his vehicle. A struggle. Gunshots. Within moments, XXXTentacion was fatally wounded, and his attackers had fled with the bag of cash. By 7:25 p.m., he was pronounced dead at Broward Health North Hospital. The boy who had survived poverty, violence, and legal battles had been taken by a random robbery. Or was it? The theories began immediately. Was this really a random crime? Or was something more calculated? The timing seemed suspicious to some, just as X was planning his comeback, just as he was speaking about changing his life. Four men would eventually be arrested and charged with his murder. The evidence seemed clear. This was a robbery gone wrong. But for X's fans, the questions lingered. The timing, the location, the fact that he was carrying so much cash. In death, XXXTentacion had become an even greater mystery than he was in life. Death has a way of crystallizing legacy, But with XXXTENTACION, it only deepened the contradictions. The young man who had been simultaneously vilified and celebrated in life became even more polarizing in death. His posthumous albums broke records. His streaming numbers soared. Memorials appeared in cities around the world, created by fans who had never met him but felt they knew his soul through his music. But the debates continued. Was he a troubled genius cut down too soon, or a cautionary tale about unchecked fame and violence? The answer, perhaps, is that he was both. His influence on music is undeniable. Artists across genres cite him as an inspiration. His willingness to be vulnerable, to experiment, to break down barriers between hip-hop and other styles. These innovations continue to shape the industry. More importantly, his impact on mental health conversations in hip-hop opened doors that have been closed for decades. His foundation, established by his mother, continues to help at-risk youth, the same demographic that connected so deeply with his music. But perhaps XXXTentacion's greatest legacy is the questions he leaves behind, about fame and responsibility, about redemption and second chances, about whether we can truly separate art from artist, and whether we should even try. In the end, Yase Dwayne Ricardo Onfroy lived 20 years and 4 months. But XXXTentacion, the enigma, the contradiction, the voice of a generation's pain, he lives on in every stream, every tribute, every young person who finds solace in his words. Before we close, we want to express our gratitude to everyone who engages with our content, shares their thoughts, and helps us explore these complex stories together. Please subscribe to our channel and help us grow. Thank you guys for joining us on this journey into music's most enigmatic figures. The boy is gone. The mystery remains. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly how he would have wanted it.